you just mentioned? Because it seems like it'd be a pretty preferable option to have this hub services provider assist in getting your drug refilled or back out there for use. So I'm just curious if there's anything outside of the dynamics that you just described.
You do. No, you do. You do want it, right? I mean, you want it, right? Mm-hmm. But you want it, manufacturer wants it, potentially patient wants it, right? But the people who are paying for it want it to go out on their own. So, I don't want to minimize the fact that there's lots of people trying to work on this and that they are doing a good job working on it. I'm just telling you, the process by which it happens, in actuality, right? Which is, and you can absolutely shorten it by taking the responsibility and not having it go through reimbursement, right? So.
Yeah. Okay. And then kind of on that reimbursement line, a lot of the things we also hear, and it's just coming up more top of mind for us as we go through our research, is that these hub services and distributors also are directly involved in applying manufacturer coupons or whatever copay cards, things of a similar idea. So I'm just curious if, in your experience, that's something you see with the hub services, like you get the prescription written, it goes to the hub services, and they automatically apply that copay coupon so the patient already has reduced cost sharing that the manufacturer wants them to get their drug. So is that common?
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much is standard practice, right? But again, think about it this way, right? That is standard practice. It works a lot better in a retail or a mail, right? If the PBM's covering mail, it doesn't work for the reasons we described. By the way, it doesn't work for the reasons described when the specialty pharmacy is wholly owned by the payer, right? Only works if the specialty pharmacy is owned by the payer, if the payer allows the coupon to be applied. And they're starting to be more amenable to that. But yeah, do you know what I mean by that? Right? But yeah. I mean, that's definitely a part and parcel of what people are doing, yes. Yes. That's absolutely what's happening.
Yeah, we would just like to confirm that we hear a couple things. We're just confirm that's what's going on out there.
But yeah.
And then another dynamic we kind of want to ask about is we've heard a little bit that between the large manufacturers and the smaller manufacturers, that sometimes the smaller manufacturers, when they're working with these hub services distributors, their product they feel as if their product isn't almost getting the full attention. So we've heard of one case where there's a smaller product and they're wondering why it wasn't entering the market as they were hoping. And then they found out that just the hub service only had, say, one or two staff members focused on that drug. So I'm just wondering if that's a concern for manufacturers, that if they're entering these arrangements, that their drug isn't going to be maximized. And I guess that kind of falls into that mediocre that you mentioned earlier.
Well, no, actually that falls into, so we didn't talk about, that falls into a different piece, which is, so here's the story. So you are wholly responsible as a manufacturer to get the service that you need, right? And so now I shouldn't be so aggressive. You might be right, and it might be that the hub services provider is, just doing a crappy job around the clock, right? And that they should be fired. And with the lack of capacity, I wouldn't be surprised. I would, kind of like two perspectives to the same problem. I would suspect that what happened, and we didn't get into this too much, but we should. I would suspect that what happened in the case of this story is that the inexperienced commercial lead set up the wrong kind of contract and probably paid for 2 headcount, and they needed more, and then the hub doesn't necessarily have more. And so instead of saying, hey, look, we need to renegotiate this contract and you need to expand and do a lot more, it kind of just ended up where it was. And so there's 2 different ways to actually retain these services. One is you do it on a, time and materials basis, right? Which, oftentimes is more expensive. If someone walks you through all this stuff, because I don't want to do it